Well, hello and welcome to Yellow Flag FPL, the podcast where all of our opinions should be yellow flagged. My name is Harry.
And I'm Stephen Berry.
And it's been a busy week for sure. So much so that we weren't actually able to record in between. So many game weeks, so much football. And of course, Champions League's come this week as well, which is insane. Really coming thick and fast. So, what we're going to do is we've picked three teams from the last three game weeks to talk about and highlight sort of opportunities, issues, things like that, with not too much detail on the games per se, but like some overall broad lessons. And before those statos amongst us say, yes, I know three game weeks is not enough to draw comparisons, but we're going to do it anyway because, we're fun. So, Stephen, no doubt you're going to want to talk about the mighty Gunners who have hit a couple of speed bumps, I think it's probably fair to say.
Yeah.
What does it all mean?
Yeah. Our last pods, I was going in the right direction, fantasy wise. It wasn't everything wasn't going too bad. We discussed Philip Walter Foden and about like this guy's gonna get hauls, he's gonna get haul after haul.
Mhm.
Flat trap bully. What did I not do? Buy Phil Foden, which is I don't really understand that. It's quite weird for a FPL content person to say this person is an absolute must and then just not do that. Anyway, that's just how I play the game apparently. Yeah, Arsenal, look, fundamentally, it's one draw and one loss if you look at the last three games, just to put it simply. But if you look at those three games, Chelsea, Brentford, and Villa, Chelsea, it was because they went down to 10 men. We were very pedestrian before that. Okay, maybe could have won it at the death, but nevertheless, pretty pedestrian performance. Brentford looked good in a big period in that game. Like, genuinely, like, quality told in the end, but Brentford could have easily got a result there. And then Villa was coming, basically. We've lost both Saliba and Gabriel. We've lost Mosquera now. I don't understand why Timber was chosen as centre back over Ben White. That seems very weird to me.
Yeah.
So, what does it mean in short? There's a reason why we have a starting 11. Unlike Slot, we know our best 11, and if it's not out there, yes, it's not terrible, and people can do jobs. But fundamentally, if you're playing your Villas, your Chelseas, Arsenal do struggle. I think with all these fixtures coming up as well, Arsenal aren't going to be as brilliant as they have been, and I wouldn't be running to sell all Arsenal players. Saka has an unbelievable run, for example, as does Gokeres in terms of attacking possibilities. We've got
Yeah.
Wolves. I mean, Wolves next. Don't need to say anymore. I think everyone watched the game last night, and one of the worst performances I've ever seen. I think. So anyway, have Wolves next, and then he's got Everton, Brighton, Villa, Bournemouth, Liverpool. While not all those games are quote unquote easy, they're teams that all concede. So I quite like Arsenal attackers now. But in terms of Arsenal defence, triple Arsenal defence, I think until Gabriel and or Saliba, at least one of them comes back, Arsenal defensively just aren't the asset they used to be, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was thinking that I was sold Gabriel obviously when we knew that his injury was going to be longer than originally thought, and I thought, until Gabriel comes back, I wouldn't trust the Arsenal defence as much. I know lots of people are sitting on Raya. Some people have gone for the replacement centre back Hibakame. Is that his name? I can't remember.
Hippocampy, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, sorry, Hinikapi is right. Sorry, Hinikapi, sorry.
yeah, which is okay, but I think it's a very short term move. So yeah, I'm happy with Saka. I'm probably going to stick with Saka. I'm probably not going to buy any more Arsenal. Gokeres is on radar a little bit, and definitely should have got that winner against Chelsea. If I was him, I'd be screaming at Timber, who just blocked it away, which is ridiculous. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to say the least that we were talking about the triple up of Arsenal defence at one point and the double as well. And I think now a lot of people are moving away from that completely.
Yeah.
Um,
One
because
thing I
when they
would
don't
say
get clean
is
sheets, they don't get attacking returns. Those defenders, not really.
exactly, and one thing I would say is move away from them for now. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sure,
yeah,
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 definitely.
Arsenal will come back defensively. I mean, the only thing to be a risk is that obviously Man City are breathing down our necks. Man City concede 4 goals to Fulham, get win. That comeback from Leeds last minute, like it. I'm sorry, as an Arsenal fan, I don't know the players are thinking this, thinking, oh really? Man City are doing that now? Like it's very, very hard not for your head to drop. And we are the
Mm.
perennial bridesmaids. It's very, very. Nevertheless, I'm still keeping the hope for now. look, losing at Villa
Yeah.
Park isn't is not a disgrace. As you said, they're second, or I think they went third in the league after Man City won. But like, that's not a disgrace. We've gone to Anfield, we've gone to Stamford Bridge, stuff like that. We only have to go to the Etihad
Yeah.
left, really. So let's not hit the panic button. But it depends on how long Gabriel's going to be out, Saliba's going to be out for. I think we can survive without one of them. I think Gabriel or Saliba can cover the other one. Without either of them, it's a
Mm.
big problem, especially if Timber's
I
going to
think
continue at right as centre back. He's not a centre back. Ben White is. He's good at right back as well. Don't get me wrong, but I don't understand why Ben
mm,
White hasn't been moved to centre back.
yeah, it's going to be interesting actually because your run up to I think it's the FA Cup games is quite important really. You got Wolves at home, okay, probably win that.
Yeah.
Everton away. Everton have been sort of mixed at their new place. Brighton at home. Brighton have looked quite good last couple of games. Then you got Aston Villa again at home.
Mm.
Again, they beat you at home 2-0, I think, a couple of seasons ago.
And
Watkins got the
let's not
double.
forget within that we have Palace in the League Cup.
Oh, of course. Yep.
Arteta, to be frank, needs a trophy this season. I think everyone thinks that now. So what can he do there in terms of resting players? What can Palace do there in the conference? That'll be interesting to see the lineups.
Yeah.
Thankfully
And
we're
then
away at Club Brugge tonight, so and
yeah.
we're top of the cup. So hopefully Arteta sees a bit of sense and goes, okay, we'll just send out anyone. That game does not matter. Hopefully he sees a bit of sense there. But yeah, if he puts out Arsenal starting 11, okay, yes, you have Wolves next, but
No, he
you
shouldn't be doing
know,
that. Shouldn't be doing that.
yeah. I mean, yeah,
Yeah. I
surely
mean,
just lose to Club Brugge and then spank
argue,
Wolves 10-0, surely.
arguably, I would say actually go the opposite way around and don't play Saka at Wolves. That's what I would probably do because you could do Wolves over with Dowman. Dowman could play in that Wolves game and win that game. He could score in that game, no problem at all.
I still
Um,
think, look, we can lose this game. We've got a 13 points, 13 goal difference. We can lose this game and we're still top. And what? I mean, people 15 points is probably enough to get you in the top 8. And it's Club Brugge.
mm,
Like I think we need to start getting I think the Premier League is something that Arsenal fans really, really want. And I think and also why banana skin yourselves at Wolves? Because you can lose at Villa Park and people don't
yeah,
panic.
that would be huge.
If you
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
not just win, if you don't batter Wolves, people are like, oh, well, something's wrong at
yeah.
Arsenal. They ground out a 1-0 against Wolves. Like you have to like not just win by at least 2 goals, I would say.
Yeah, I think so. That would have to put the heebie-jeebies up you. But then after as well in the new year, you've got Bournemouth and Liverpool in quick succession. Now, I know obviously Liverpool haven't been at their best, but they're still a really good team, still good, great players. So really, the next 6 game weeks are critical for Arsenal,
Yeah.
and I think that from an FPL perspective, the confidence in the defense will come back. I agree with you. Once Gabriel or Saliba, and definitely when both are there, I think most people will be rushing back into those teams. But I think until then, we're saying sort of a wait and see. Look more to the
Yeah.
attackers,
I
and
think
see how we
Saka's a
go.
good pick. He's gone up in price.
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah,
He's expensive, but with Salah gone, that's a lot of money sloshing around, which you can spend on a Saka or even a Bruno fucking Fernandes.
anyway, we'll leave that alone before I rattle you anymore. And you mentioned them a few times. Obviously, breathing down your neck is Manchester City. Phil Foden with back-to-back hauls, 15, 17, and 12. Really impressive. He seems to be. I mean, I don't know. I mean, there's been loads of stories about what's happening off the pitch, but whatever's he's done to get back into the right frame of mind, I want a piece of that because that's outrageous to come back into that form. I think he's a must-have for everyone right now. He's got 2 or 3 price rises already. Now we always say, wait for the Champions League, wait for that to finish. I won't be making my transfers until later on in the week. But really interesting performances under Man City. 3 from 3, despite conceding 6 goals across all 3 fixtures. Yeah, they had a combined XG across the 3 games of 2.6. Interesting, in the Fulham game, they had a combined XG of 2 and a combined XGA, so goals against, of 0.97, still managed to
Yeah.
concede 4. I think that was just a mental game. I think
Yeah, yeah.
I put that down as a bit of an anomaly um, overall. But I think what we've learned is that, you know, I think the triple up of Man City is looking very likely. One defender,
Inter-
Guardiola seems to be the popular one, but I think O'Reilly's better value. Foden, I think, is a must-have, and of course, everyone needs Haaland. But he's been very inconsistent as Haaland. So, but then you can't really ignore the fixture run. They've got Palace away next, which is difficult. I will give them that. It's difficult, but they've got Europe, and they do have a poor record after playing European games. Only one win in seven after playing European games.
And I want to disagree with you a little bit there. I think, like, obviously Haaland, I don't think, to say he's been inconsistent, I think is a little bit unfair. I just think he hasn't been 100% Erling Haaland. He's been like 90% Erling Haaland, but he's still very good. Um, I don't believe in City defense. I think Donnarumma, you're starting to see actually why PSG were a bit annoyed with him. He's actually a little bit like Ramsdale. He's more talented than Ramsdale for anyone pipes up. But what I mean is, has a worldie in him. I mean, really does. But
Mm-hmm.
also just some very sloppy errors, and you just don't, and like his command of the box isn't very good. Like obviously he's a very good keeper, but he's not. I don't think he actually is that elite, to be honest with you. And I don't now to say he's completely responsible for Fulham getting 4 goals from low XG. I think it's very harsh. The goals, a lot of them were
Yeah.
worldies, but I don't like Man City defenders. All of them pose an attacking threat. I mean, got Nunes,
Yeah.
got O'Reilly, and Gardevoir have all got an attacking return. Gardevoir's got more than one, I think.
Yeah.
But
Got
I
yeah. Got
don't
one.
think you can rely on them that to do that every week. And I just don't see Man City keeping any clean sheets. I mean, the only thing you would say about them is that they've got West Ham, Forest, Sunderland. Well, actually, maybe just because of those fixtures. But I think after that,
I,
Chelsea, Brighton, Man U. I think all those teams will score against them. To be honest with you, I might score
so
too.
Yeah, so O'Reilly started at 4.5, I think, and he's gone up to 5.2, but I still think he's worth it. Then you look at Nunez, who's 5.3. Guardiola is the most expensive
Yeah,
and is the most transferred in, but is bottom for those defenders. It's actually Ruben that's got the highest points for them,
yeah.
5.6 million, 67 points, but he's not even in the top 10 for defenders. So I get what you're saying, but I think if you went on O'Reilly early, I think it's definitely still worth it. I think now maybe not, but I just think that Man City look like starting to they're starting to go through the gears a bit more in games. My point is that Palace have a worse record after European games than Man City. So I think that even though the Palace game away on paper is a difficult fixture, I think they'll get a lot of joy. And also just on Haaland as well, in the last sort of seven, so the game weeks, he's got 2, 14, 2, 2, 4, 13, 2, 13. He goes big or he goes nothing. So I think people are having him because everyone has him. But I think if we were in like more free market of ideas, it's a lot of money, 15 million for that sort of level. That's why I think he's a bit inconsistent. So I think the triple's fine. We'll see how it goes. The most impressive result I have to say is the Sunderland game because we've all waxed lyrical about Sunderland, haven't we? We've all said how amazing they've played. They've really come into the league and looked, as you said many times, Premier League. For them to win 3-0, I know at home, but 3-0
But
and their star
Sunderland
man not score.
missed some chances. I think they were at 0-0. They missed a
Yeah.
big chance at 2. I think it was like what? I think it was at 2-0. They missed another big chance. So
Mhm.
there was a little bit of. It's not. This is why I don't like Man City defenders because Sunderland should have scored in that game. They just should have done. Um, and Man City is a clean sheet
Yeah.
asset, but they're not really getting defcons either. I think O'Reilly gets some defcons maybe, but I
O'Reilly
just
gets some defcons. Yeah, he's usually top.
yeah. So I think O'Reilly fine just because okay, you can convert those twos into a 4, but I think Gardeval and Nunes, Ruben Diaz is interesting. Ruben Diaz is
He,
because
he
everyone
is.
because he seems to be playing injured all the time, and like you think he's going to lose his place at some point. But yeah, he's obviously an unbelievable centre back, so he actually would be another one to think about. But yeah, Nunes and Gardeval, I just think them guaranteed getting them attacking returns every week is going to stop, and I can't see them keeping a clean sheet.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Okay.
Man City midfielder and Haaland, yes, that's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Sure. Sure. Okay. Cool. Well, let's move on to the next team. Who did you want to
Which well,
talk
let's do Sunderland
about?
as you spoke about them there. So yeah,
Sure.
I one of my few predictions that I'm getting right so far is Luke O'Nine, the red card machine. He's played three
Yeah,
seconds of
that
Premier League
was
football.
that was GBH. What was a red
Yeah,
card? That was
I
ridiculous.
I did tell you.
He
Anyone who's
did
watched
say.
anyone, but to be fair, anyone who's a Sunderland fan or has watched any bit of Sunderland would know Luke O'Nien is a red card magnet, and so far he's on track. Um, so I actually watched all their games. No, so I didn't watch the Bournemouth game. Sorry, but there was pretty extensive highlights. What a get! I mean, that was a real game there. I was very annoyed
Yeah,
at Areola at
another
the
mad
end.
one.
Yeah, he was just like, "Oh, the ref lost control." No, no, Bournemouth, you guys lost control. I mean, I don't, are you going to talk about Bournemouth? But they've really gone off the boil. They people seem to work them out quite a lot, which is just like, okay, they're brilliant going forward, but they will put 1,000 men in front, and then you can just counterattack at them pretty
Well,
easily.
see, I think
Um,
the biggest problem with Bournemouth is if Semenyo doesn't fire, they don't
yeah,
really have any other attacking outlet. You know, if Evan Nilsson isn't ripping up trees, Krupi obviously had that little run, but not much coming off the back of it. Adams, the goal he scored against Sunderland, I mean,
yeah,
it's an absolute worldie, wasn't it, from the
yeah,
halfway line? So I think like overall, I would say it's not that Bournemouth have been worked out. It's just they don't have other attacking options compared to when Semenyo is not playing well or when he's getting marked out of the game. Evan Nilsson, I mean, his price tag he should be doing miles better. I don't know why he's not. So yeah, but yeah, it was a mad game, and I think Sunderland were that atmosphere. I it's really difficult to get away tickets for Spurs, obviously, but I would pay a significant amount of money just to be in that atmosphere at Sunderland, especially in
yeah.
like a late night game or something like that. Outrageous.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, and they should have won. They should have won at Anfield. Let's be very very frank. They were very unfortunate. They were very unfortunate at the end. And Man City,
True.
look, 3-0, but they could have had chances. They could have done something there. Um, they've got the next game is the Northeast Derby. Um,
Yeah.
now honestly it doesn't matter if you're from Sunderland or Newcastle. The atmosphere every that game is always, especially in Premier League, is always feisty. So I don't know how many DEF cons they're going to be in that game, but I think the average DEF con will be about 1,003 or something. There's going to be lots of tackles. It's going to be absolutely brutal. I think it's 4:30 on a Sunday as well, so the fans will be very well
It's
oiled.
it's 2 o'clock, I think.
As it 2 o'clock.
But still, that's enough time. That's
Yeah,
enough time.
yeah. Yeah, it's all going from 9 o'clock in the morning anyway, so that's probably the sense of it. Yeah, so because it's usually on a Saturday at 12 that game for that reason. But anyway, so the
Yeah, that's what
atmosphere
I thought it would
there.
be, but
I mean, we use the term cauldron. That's not going to even be close to describing what it's going to
yeah.
be like there. It's going to be very very feisty. So, um, but then after that they do lose quite a few players. It's three of their starters.
Hmm.
I think with Sunderland, I've got Xhaka, I've got Rose. Xhaka, I think I'm just going to set and forget all season. I think other people should as well because he just
Yeah.
gets def con to get the odd assist for 5 million. He's a very reliable option. I think only KDH Everton is doing better than in price per million in midfielders. Rice's price has obviously skyrocketed. So after that, though, I do worry a little bit. I don't. They got to go to Brighton, Leeds, City again, Spurs. Yeah, I just let's basically. It's a bit of a cop out. I just think they're going to drop off a little bit. They're now down to ninth. They're not going to get relegated. They're still like I just. You can just other when
Mm.
they're playing at home, what are they going to do? I don't think they're going to do too much. They've won at Stamford
Do,
Bridge. I'm a bit worried about them. Basically, I don't. That would be what I don't worry about the defenders in particular. Basically, I don't think Rose should be the goalkeeper anymore. I think they're going to start conceding a lot more goals.
do you think they just run out of steam?
Um, I think that you can't run out of steam in December, can you? I mean, I mean,
Well, I mean, coming back up into the Premier League, it would have taken a lot of emotional energy, a lot of
yeah,
physical energy as well. Obviously they play the playoff. No one expects them to go up. They then lose their star centre mid. Have then also gone on a massive run, been really performing well, in the top four on several occasions. I wonder whether like the emotional energy from the players has been really
mm,
drained. And then of course they're going to lose 7 to 8 players to AFCON, one of which I think has been the unsung hero really, and that's Siddiqui who plays in the
yeah, yeah,
middle alongside Xhaka, really like the unknown player. And I think overall they're going to really struggle. And I wouldn't be surprised if they were somewhere around 15th
Mm.
when the Afcon players come back, and that'll be a real shame. And we are winning them on to stay up. They go to Tottenham, so I'm sure Tottenham will help them out in some way. But I think overall, I wonder whether they have just gone at the Premier League so hard and so quickly that maybe they're just feeling a little bit of it now. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe
And
it's
I
like
think,
maybe I
yeah,
don't
I
know.
think there's definitely some fairness in that. And look, as I said, the Northeast Derby, if they win that, which I think they probably will actually,
Oh, that'd be crazy. That'd be crazy.
I think they'll be like, if you ask most Sunderland fans, you stay up and you beat Newcastle, they would have bitten your hand off. They would have done a full top parade of that at the start of the season for something like that. So once they've done
Mm.
that, yeah, what is there to play for really? They've got a very good manager. I think that's a big difference between. To be fair, Sunderland had a much better transfer window, but the big difference between Burnley and Sunderland is probably the manager actually. Yes, Sunderland definitely. They've got people like Granit Xhaka. That's a real coup, but you got to remember it's Ballard Isidore who've actually been really doing a lot of the hard work that they've had before. So it's not just the director of football. I think Richard LeBrie is just a much better manager than Scott Parker, and I think that is really proving itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember they are cheap. All their players are quite cheap.
Yeah.
Alderete is probably still about around 4 million. Xhaka's 5. I don't see
Mm.
any reason why you'd sell him. But yeah, I'm going off Roos. I think when the wild card comes in, I'll probably move on from him. I think he's going to start.
Would you use one of your Afcon transfers?
And I've exactly right. I've got 5 transfers now. So usually using a transfer on a
Yeah.
goalkeeper is a waste, I should say. You've got 5 now. Why not? The
I don't know.
problem is
I think
that
I'm going
all
to
the
keep
goalkeepers are quite
Bruce.
expensive. Yeah,
I'm going to keep Bruce because I think that at 4.6, he's still a very good value option for as goalkeeper. You
yeah.
know, and I think that you could probably bring in someone like I know you're not going to like that, but a Sanchez at Chelsea, or maybe even like a
He's probably the
Henderson at
best. He's
Crystal
probably the best option,
Palace.
to be fair. Like,
I think so. I think so. I am in the unfortunate position though. My cheap defender on the bench is also a Sunderland player, so I've got double Sunderland defence. But I'm thinking about buying Isidore because Sunderland do have a decent. I think they have a decent run. I mean, I think I'm going to talk about Newcastle a bit later, but you've got Brighton away. Okay, that is difficult, but I reckon they could perform there. Leeds at home. So again, if you had a bench boost still available, I think game week 18 is perfect for that. Then you got Man City at home. Sorry, Tottenham away, which we will definitely help them out. Brentford away, Palace away, Palace at home. Sorry, West Ham away, Burnley at home. It's not bad, and that's up until February, and that's when the players start coming back. So I think from the 24th, I mean, those 2 fixtures there, West Ham away and Burnley at home, that those are really tasty fixtures, and they'll have the Afcon players back. So um,
yeah, I
they
think
could
you can. I
recover.
think you,
I
I think
think.
you can split it either way. But I agree with your original statement of like Afcon, they're going to struggle, and they're going to struggle not just because of Afcon, but because they're going to win their Champions League final. I'm sorry, it's a little bit insulting there to them, but it is. And and to be honest, for Newcastle fans, probably the same. Let's be frank. So they're gonna win that, and again, what were their expectations at the start of the season? It's very hard for the players and the fans not to feel like that. Even if they get spanked 4-0 by somebody, unless it's Wolves, I don't think the fans are going to be that annoyed. They'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever, we'll do this. So,
Yeah.
I think they're going to tail off. Interesting to see what happens after AppCon for the next few weeks. I think, unfortunately, they're not going to be players to in FPL.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, we've mentioned them a few times.
Yeah.
It gives us more excuse to talk about the Northeast Derby, but Newcastle is a team that I wanted to talk about a bit. So, did you know that Bruno Guimaraes has returned in every game since game week 9?
I didn't know it was game week 9. Wow. Okay.
He's either got defcons or goals or assists or bonuses. So he's fourth for midfielders at the moment,
Yeah, I knew that.
6.9
Yeah.
million, 81 points, which is very high. He's above Foden, to give more context. Well, mind you, Foden had a difficult start. He's above Mbuemo, above Minter. These above players that we've been ranting and raving about most of the season. So, yeah, I think Newcastle have had an impressive run, but there are some caveats I want to put in there. They are conceding goals at an alarming rate. Like the Everton game, I think was a bit of an anomaly. They get a goal, the quickest goal in the Premier League, 55 seconds. And then obviously the game kind of pans out from them. But their XG across the whole period in the last 3 games has been about 2, but their XG8 has been 1. So like realistically, they're winning games 2-1 on average. And the Burnley game is a perfect example of that. They get to the end, you think, yeah, clean sheet, brilliant. Dan Burn, for those who own. I had Nick Pope. I had to sell because he became injured. Um, and then they concede a penalty at the last minute. And it's just, all of that hard work for nothing. So my thought process of Newcastle at the moment is not about defenders. It's about, do I want any attackers? Because Walter Maid is probably the only one that most people are sitting on. But Wissa came
Yeah,
off the bench against Burnley. So he's back in contention. Does that eat into Walter Maid's minutes? Obviously, I thought Wissa might go off to AFCON, but if he's not, then actually that makes Walter Maid's minutes even less secure.
yeah.
I know he's been bought more maybe for the Champions League. Fine, okay. But I think Wissa will still eat into his minutes. And Walter Maid will coming off at 60 or 70 now. Gordon, lots of people talking about him. He's on pens. I don't know why. Walter Maid was on pens beginning of the
Yeah,
season, did quite well. His pen at the
yeah,
beginning of the season was
yeah,
absolute
yeah.
rocket. Like, why has he been taken off pens?
I
Don't know.
don't know.
Don't understand that. Um, and then you look at the defenders and you think, well, Thor got that massive haul against Everton, but then hasn't done much most of the season.
There is a
Dan
bit of
Burns, top
context into
ownership.
that brace though, which is I had him in my team. I did my free hit that week, so he's never gonna do that again. That was the only reason why that happened. So, because that's important to remember.
Yeah, of course. So yeah, I think like Newcastle, one of those teams where I think a lot of us own a few of their players, but it's more uncertain who to own. I think the only player you really should be aiming to own is probably Bruno. Having said that, that Sunderland game, he is 100% getting sent off. 120%. You know that him and Jacker at one point are just going to
Yeah,
go for the same ball, and like it's going to be like tremors fell across the whole country as their massive legs hit each other. Like you just know that game he's going to get sent off. He's the most
and
transferred in
it's long
player.
overdue. We haven't had a Vieira versus Keane, a real Vieira versus Keane in the Premier League for a long,
Yeah,
long time. And my God, it's going to be great to have it back. That is going to be brutal. And I think the ref
I
is
mean,
probably going to be brief beforehand. Just let it go a little bit, and then both of them will take it
yeah.
too far. But yeah, we're going to get a solid 45 minutes of that, and I can't wait.
Exactly. Like I mean, it's going to be ridiculous, and you got to think about it as well. I mean, Bruno got wound up by Romero mimicking his buddy celebrations. Like, I mean, imagine what Xhaka's going to do. Xhaka's going to be like, "Brilliant! I'm going to wind you up the entire game,"
Mm.
and fair play. That's part of the game. We love the housery. So yeah. So I think that overall, so Bruno, I would look at, but I would wait until this game finished till
Yes.
afterwards. Just make sure he comes through unscathed. But I think he's an interesting option at 6.9. I've seen a lot of people bring Gordon as well. But again, X Mins, Barnes, X Mins. We've seen Alanga and Murphy start. So again, who's playing? Where are they reliable? Walter May with Wisser as well. So I think none of Newcastle players actually appeal now going forward. And even the fact Tottenham getting a draw at St James's, if
Yeah.
that's happening, they've got problems. They're defensively, they've got real problems. So I wouldn't trust their
With
defense at
Romeo
all.
bicycle kicking the death as well. That's concerning.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Barry, I can't believe that these words are going on. I completely agree with everything you've just said. Everything was absolutely spot on to the money. I couldn't agree with you more. I'm actually moving away from Voldemare. He's just
Same.
not quite getting.
Yeah.
He hasn't been completely terrible. He's got an assist here or there, but he hasn't quite done the business. I don't see him scoring at the Stadium of Light. So get your money on that, guys. And then yeah, you're right. The only thing I'm worried about is they have Chelsea, Man U, then they have Burnley, Leeds, and Wolves with Palace in between. So, but I think that's when the wild card comes in. It's around when the wild card comes back in. So let's say he scores against, I don't know who was that fixture. Sorry, let's say he gets a brace against Burnley. You're a bit worried for Leeds, Wolves, and okay, you can get him back in, but. Yeah, I'm not. He's just not quite doing enough, and I think there are just much other better forward options. I still have Tior, but he's going to go at some point. I'm keeping him for the Sunderland game because I think every single player on the pitch will get defcons, but after that he'll probably be gone from my team.
So, question for you. I
Mm.
own both Mateta and Walter Maid. Both have underperformed.
Mm.
I can't get rid of both because I've other fires to fight in my team. Who would you prioritize getting rid of?
Just short term, probably
No,
Valdemare. In the short term, Mateta has Leeds, Spurs, and Fulham. Um, Longer term, you would say actually, you would keep, you would, yeah, you'd get rid of Mateta. Sorry, Voldemar just looks like he just. This is the thing about Mateta. We do forget this. He will just do something out of nowhere, but at times he can be a bit of a
Yeah,
lump. And
and also, they've got so they've got Europe in the week, so they're going to really struggle there. But Man City are conceding goals. We have talked about that. They've got the 2 o'clock fixture on the Sunday. It's kind of built for, I hate to say it, but your kind of theory about how players will play for their next move. If he does want to move away from Palace in the summer because it seems like everything's falling apart, managerially at least,
yeah,
could he be looking at doing, I don't know, performing out of his skin in that game to sort of as a statement? And I do think City away at Palace will be a difficult fixture, but I think they'll edge it. But they'll get chances. Um, yeah, but that'll be an interesting fixture. But unfortunately, none of us will be watching it. We'll be watching the North East Derby. I mean, I've got Tottenham's playing at the same time. I probably won't be watching that. I'll be watching the North East Derby.
Well,
So yeah,
do you want to talk
but
about
anyway,
Spurs then, actually? Because you guys have,
no,
you
not
know,
really. Not really.
where are you? You're 11th. To be fair, I think Liverpool have done a very good job of drawing the magnet banter away. But you're 11th. You are one win away from fifth. You know, your last few results, you beat Brentford at home, you drew at St James's. These aren't terrible results. Okay,
Where?
I haven't mentioned the Fulham result, which was whoa. That was
Don't. Let's not talk about it, please.
that
Please.
that was very bad. But your last two results, winning, you've won at home. Okay, it's Brentford, but you're going to beat what's in front of you. You drew at St James's, albeit fortunately. I don't know.
Look,
Over to you. Over to you.
look, okay, Tottenham are being Tottenham. I think the whole narrative around Thomas Frank needs to go away. Like it's his first couple of months in charge of the club. It is a step up from Brentford. No offense, but it is. The expectation is higher. Look, Arsenal are better than us, so we're always going to be looking at that over our shoulder. I think that's the context to put it in. The table is weird. Okay, so between fifth and 13th is 5 points, right? Aston Villa are third, Palace are fourth. Man United is sixth. That's probably the weirdest part of the table, right?
Everton were fifth at one point. They were
They
15th.
were exactly. So I think if Spurs manage to put a run together, and this is very difficult for us because we never managed to find consistency. We don't even know the definition of the word. I don't think there is a problem per se. I think at the moment we are lacking a top quality centre forward that can stay fit. I think Solanke is decent, but he is just getting injured way too much. Richarlison isn't a nine, I don't think. Although he has been pretty good as a nine. Brendan Johnson's been injured. Idogi, he's been in and out of the team again with injury. So I think there's just been a few things that have tripped us up. When we look like we're getting ahead of steam, we'll then screw it up by getting a terrible result against Fulham. I think the narrative around Vicario, I think, is a bit harsh. He's a great shot stopper, but I think I mean, Danny Murphy said he's had a really terrible season. I think that's really harsh. I
Yeah,
think he's
it's
not been
harsh.
bad. He's bang average, right? I think that's probably fair to say. But then he's probably the same level as the rest of the team. Like so what is he like? I don't understand this idea of us. I mean, there's talk of us going to buy Martinez in January, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be a brilliant signing, a great upgrade. But I don't think it's the biggest fire. The biggest fire in our team is centre forward. We just don't have a big man up top that can really hold on to the ball and can stay fit. But look, let's see how it goes. It's 3 points, and we're in the European places, and then everyone's shutting up about it. So I think the narrative around Tottenham is everyone wants to laugh at us, and rightly so. And everyone wants to create a narrative, and again, this is what the media does. But I think most Spurs fans are pretty level-headed and thinking he needs time, he needs a couple of windows, he needs to be given the patience. And I think that reaching for a new goalkeeper, I just think is solving a problem that isn't 100% there.
Yeah.
But anyway,
So from an FPL perspective, let me play a bit of devil's advocate here and ask a question. The 11 that played, in particular, Simmons as the 10, Richarlison on the
yeah,
wing, and then
yeah,
Colo up top. Obviously,
morning, yeah.
Kudus on the other flank. And then interestingly, Archie Gray in midfield. Is Paulini injured or something? Oh, he came on
No,
then,
Archie
actually.
Gray is just a better passer of the ball.
Uh,
Palhinha is He's a blocker. Paulinho is a blocker. That's all he does. He's not a passer forward. And I think Archie Gray, he can play in a variety of positions. So I think
Right.
he might be shoring
So in
up
other
that
words,
midfield a
so
bit
so
nicely.
so Liverpool at home, Palina will play, Archie Gray will play at home to Brentford, stuff like that. Okay, fine. But I guess so.
Yeah.
Obviously, Joey Simmons came for a lot of money. There was a lot of hype around him. Spurs fans were
Yeah.
saying Simmons is a much better player than Eze in every single way possible, both in terms of current and
No Spurs
potential.
fans I know were saying that.
Anyway, it was said by a number of Spurs fans, so I'll leave that out there for people to form their own opinions. Nevertheless, got a decent haul. He is your big money. He was your big money signing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came with a lot of promise. Chelsea wanted him, so and then
Yeah,
just
70
hasn't
million.
hasn't played. Is he now going to play as the 10? Because if so, he could be an interesting differential, I'd say. Because your run
He's
coming up is actually pretty decent for the next 6.
Yeah, I mean he's what 7 million. We're just
Yeah,
shy of
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
So I think he's too expensive right now, and I think it's a wait and see. But the thing is that he will if he starts, he comes off at 70. He
Right.
is the playmaker we've been missing. He made some good runs, but he also loses the ball quite a lot because he's played in slower leagues before. So I think it's a hold, a wait and see. But yeah, look, if he starts the next two, like if he starts against Liverpool, then I'd say he's an option because that says to me that Frank trusts him to play as the cam against the top quality opposition. But I think against the lower league opposition, he has a lot more space and more freedom, a lot of time, and as a result, we'll get a bit more joy from that. So
Frank have to
I
sort of
the
start him
Liverpool game,
anyway because I think a criticism of him, and I think it's a fair one, is that he is too defensive. He's playing 3 DMs when playing bigger teams. Does he not? Is he not feeling a bit of pressure to start at least trying him? You're right. You're right, Javi.
sure,
He's a little bit of an
but
ozil.
if you
He's quite a luxury player, which is it's not ideal
exactly,
for
and you can't
someone at Spurs' level.
against a Liverpool at home, against an Arsenal at home, you're not going to play him at Liverpool at home if he's a
Mm.
luxury player. Like especially when you have got a shaky defense. Like probably with Papsar going with Senegal to Afcon, he's probably going to have more opportunities to start. But then you've got Bentancur, you've got Bergval, you've got Kudelski when he comes back hopefully in the new year. You've got all these other players that will come back and really push for that position. But if you look at his last couple of games, he's got 90. He obviously played 90 minutes in this last one, but then he's played 13 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 78, 65, 60. So, like, it's really inconsistent.
Yeah.
And so I think that his X mins is the biggest problem for him. If he, as I said, if he plays at home to Liverpool, then I think he's an option. If he doesn't, I don't think he is.
Okay, fair enough. What was the last team we wanted to talk about? It was Villa, of course. The mighty Aston Villa. I'll mention it again. That goal we conceded at the death. Oh my god, that was actually one of the what are we doing? Genuinely, what are we doing? And it's just you can just see it now, can't you? Arsenal failing to win the league. Where did it all happen? They'll cut to that goal. Yeah, not ideal. Villa are now they second or third either way. They've done really well, and then their next few games is we've got West Ham, then they've got Man
Yeah.
U, Chelsea, Arsenal away, Nottingham Forest, Crystal Palace. In other words, their run changes. I've watched Villa. They've played a lot better than they have been. I'm still not 100% convinced, to be honest with you. I think Rogers is an interesting signing, but he's quite expensive. I don't back any of their defenders really. Matty Cash is in this unbelievable run of form. Now,
Yeah.
I think I like Matty Cash. I mean, we've said this before. We said this before. Paul was kicked. Matty Cash is a very very interesting attacking fullback.
Mm.
Is he going to keep scoring all these goals? That feels like quite a points chaser to me. I don't want to talk about Villa too much because, quite frankly, it's quite painful. Emery's dedication to fucking up Arsenal every single season is unbelievable. It's very, very
Uh,
admirable. Fair play. Sometimes you have to say fair play. Um, I just think after West Ham, their fixtures changed. They've still got to work very hard in Europe. They're not doing that well in Europe from memory. I think they've had a few poor results. They
well, they,
still
they
need
beat
to.
Young Boys.
They beat
They
Young.
beat
Well, I don't think. I
so
don't
like
think they're top. I think they're a bit. They still
no.
need to basically send out players every week to progress. I'll just double check that quickly. But yeah, look, they've done very well. But I think they're going to start dropping off. The one thing that would
They're
be interesting,
third.
yeah, the
They're
one thing that
third
would
for European.
Third, fine. So but they still need exactly. They still need to keep winning. They can't just like they can't do what Arsenal can
Yeah,
do. And yeah. So for example, they're third. They're on 12 points, but
everyone else
not
is on 12.
loads of
Yeah,
teams are pretty close to them. So there's loads of teams on 10, 9. Like yeah, they still need to keep playing. Arsenal, whereas Arsenal can go to Belgium and not worry about it. So I think with Europe, I think their players are going to drop off. The only one I think is interesting is obviously Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins got a brace at Brighton. Again, there is a bit of context there. I brought Marlon into both my draft teams, so of course Ollie Watkins decides to turn up there. So there's a little bit of context there. He's obviously super expensive,
yeah,
but he could become interesting again because no one's going to have him, but maybe some dead teams or something like that. And when Ollie Watkins goes on a run, he goes on a run. So he's one I keep my eye on. Rogers is another one, but I think Villa after West Ham they're going to start turning again. They've just had a very easy run basically, essentially, apart from Arsenal who won at the races that day. Though, to be fair, that was a bit of a false result from them. I would say. I wouldn't say this. Basically, what I'm saying is, sure, don't take them beating Arsenal at home as wow they beat Arsenal. Arsenal were very very poor in that game, and the goal they won
yeah.
it with was also very very poor and very un Arsenal like.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it was. I think the Watkins shout is a pretty bold one. He's eight
Yeah,
point five million.
yeah,
He's got one. That's his only return all season against Brighton, and that, again, that was a pretty mad game. Um, so yeah, I think, yeah, I don't think that getting Matty Cash is points chasing because he's
no,
getting assists, he's getting defcons. I think that he's up there. I mean, he's got 9, 4, 6, okay, 2, 6, 0, 15. So like, and you probably need to look at it as a case of he's just a player in form. I think Man United at home is not a difficult fixture. Okay, he's got Chelsea and Arsenal away straight afterwards, but you could bench him for that quite easily. I agree with you on Morgan Rogers. I think he's just a bit too expensive, although he is interesting for me. Um, and yeah, Marlin. So his only game he's got returns from starting has been the Burnley game. All his other returns have been from coming off the bench. It's mental. Okay, cool. Well, there was one last team I wanted to talk about. Another Midlands team, but we haven't mentioned them yet. It's Nottingham Forest.
I thought
And
you
I
want to talk
think
about Wolves. I'm like, I think let them
no,
die.
no, no, no.
It's like the Nelson meme.
Well,
Stop it! Stop it! He's already dead.
your shout of they were going to get out of it at the beginning of the season, I thought was a bold one.
Yeah,
I think it's been proven to be incorrect. But
yeah,
anyway, I think what I was going to say about Forest is the party's over a little bit. I think
yeah,
the new manager bounced. They were unbeaten in 5, and then they come into this run in the last 3 games, and they've lost every one. Also, apart from beating Wolves, but we don't really
yeah,
consider
yeah.
that a win at this point. And again, they only beat them by 1-0. So that looked like a very championship game, I think, is the way I define it. Both on an XG of
And
1
maybe
in
and
that,
maybe it will be soon.
and maybe it will be soon indeed. Both on an XG of 1 in that game. Yeah, I just think that not I think the Brighton game was the most interesting one because Brighton had 9 shots in the first 20 minutes. It's insane. Brighton were dominating that game. It could have easily been 4 or 5 nil. Like,
And
they
against a
went
Dacian team,
absolutely.
you do worry there.
Exactly. And you think to yourself, like, he is known for setting the teams up defensively. Morgan Gibbs White said when he was asked, what's the manager done differently? He said, just running. We just run. We run every day.
Yeah,
And it's like, okay, but you can't just run around like headless chickens. You have to run with some purpose and a plan. And look, we know that Dyche is a good football operator. But I think the interesting thing will be is if Forest go down and West Ham stay up at the expense of them, because that will be the alternative realities put in front of them. If they stuck with Nuno staying in the Premier League, probably kicking on. They didn't. They went for someone that's Nuno-esque,
yeah.
and they've gone down. So,
They
but in
also
all the
have the
games,
Europa League distraction as well. They're on 8 points, so they're looking okay to get through via one medium or another. Then they can't
mm,
throw that away. They can't. They'll have to play their full
yeah,
team every week in that.
yeah, and over the last 3 games as well, just some stats on it. Their XGA has been 1.44, which is pretty alarming, and their XG has been 0.79. So simply, to quote Michael Owen, if you don't score goals, you don't win games. and they're not defending either. So, yeah, and the other thing I was going to mention as well is Sangar, who's a holding midfielder. He goes off to Afcon. He
Mm.
goes up, so then they're going to be even more exposed. So look, I think if you're holding Anderson at the moment, he's 5.4 million. I think he's probably still worth a hold because he gets defcons in every game. I thought in one game he got 25 defcons. I mean, that shows either how great he is or how terrible the rest of his team is. But I think it is Operation Target Forest. Just as I brought in Sells as well, just to clarify. I brought him in against the Everton game, and I thought, Everton at home, Dyche is going to want to get revenge. Why not? No, they lose
I thought
3
that as
nil,
well. Yeah,
And
yeah, and they were terrible. They were terrible
so
there as well. They were terrible.
really, really bad. So I think Operation Target Forest is back. I just don't know how they do anything in this next AFCON period, particularly with Sanga going. I think
Yeah.
it's curtains, really.
So they've got Spurs at home next, Fulham away, big game. Man City at home, Everton at home, Villa away. Not ideal. And then they go to West Ham on the 6th of Jan. And there's a decent
Huge.
chance that West Ham will be above them. That being said, West Ham don't have a great run and are also quite bad. So we'll see. But yeah, that's two
I mean,
big away games for Forest. They're going to Fulham and going to West Ham in a tricky period when they've got Europe as well. Yeah, I agree. You'd probably be edging West Ham there, wouldn't you?
probably, yeah. And
Burnley and
there's two.
Wolves are gone, and that final place is up for grabs. Leeds are starting to pull it. Well, looks like they might pull away.
Yeah, good
Pressure.
results for Leeds. Good
Mm.
results for Leeds. But I think yeah, there's 2 points between them. I think that that game sixth, I will put a wager on that West Ham will be above them. Come that game on the 6th of Jan. I think look, Fulham have a habit of not turning up against relegated teams or teams that are in that relegation zone, but they're kind of getting dragged into it, and then they don't want Leeds to overtake them. They really need to do something. So I think they'll win that game. Actually, Fulham, interestingly enough, are top of my ticker for fixtures the next three. But I can't bring myself to own a Fulham player, although I do own Josh King. So it's a difficult one for all of us. But Harry Wilson's definitely coming onto radar. Interestingly enough, 5.2 million, scored a beautiful goal. So anyway, let's move on to some bankers, middling and rogue. Obviously, we've got the AFCON 5 transfers. Stephen, there's been a couple of strategies I've seen, like burn them all, use it as a mini wild card, or keep them and sort of manage the injuries that will inevitably come up over the Christmas break. Which
Yeah.
side of the fence are you sitting on?
I think it's sort of none of them, which is like, I mean, I just used two because I had to. My team was actually okay though. I don't see the point in using them for nothing. There are going to be injuries. There is going to be rotation, so I think it isn't quite a mini wildcard just because of when it comes in a very, very difficult
Mm.
fixture season. Unless you're Sunderland, who are going to have three players, who's going to start every week. It's very, very difficult. You're gonna. What I would say is make sure you have a strong. You really need to have a strong bench. So if you have any bin juice or anything like that, make sure you have a good bench. For
Yeah,
example, I think both Delap and who's Chelsea's other striker, or don't they Jao
João
Pedro? They
Pedro,
don't they? Is he injured as
Mark Gu,
well? Exactly. So
Mark
that's
Gu.
what I'm saying. Mark Gui's going to probably start for them, and he's 1 million in the game or something like that now. I don't know,
Mm.
but make sure you have. So he's probably the only one where you're like, okay, you can hold on to him. But yeah, make sure you have a strong bench because teams will be rotated. And anyway, my banker is Saka. He will never get rotated. He gets played every week. I think he will start against Wolves. I hope he gets a little bit of a rest going to Bruges. Nevertheless, I'm pretty confident he's going to start against Wolves and he's going to start most of our Premier League games. He has to, really. Arteta, I don't think Gal
Mm.
can. The time to rotate was earlier. That ship has sailed, unfortunately. So yeah, he's a great player, good run. My middling is Chucky at Man City. He's a really good footballer. Where did they sign him
He's a
from?
very good footballer.
He's really good. Um,
Leon.
I
They
signed him from
got him from Leon.
Leon.
Remember that was that dodgy signing where they paid 40 million, and it was enough to make sure they didn't go bust and therefore didn't get the points deduction that would have put them
Oh,
into the
was that
relegation
him?
zone. It was that story, yeah. And
Oh.
also, Pep Guardiola told him off for the way that he did the assist for Foden. But the difficulty with Shirky, I think, and I did note him down actually. But if you think about it, so he started against Sunderland, was benched against Fulham, benched against Leeds,
So this
started
is the
against
thing about him.
Newcastle.
I look trying to get into Guardiola's head is obviously a very very risky thing. But Cherki's French, so he won't be going to Afcon. Marmouche is. I'm expecting
Yeah, that's
his
yeah.
yeah, I'm expecting his X minutes to do them on, which doesn't really play a lot this season. Bernardo Silva's a million years old. I think Turkey is surely doing enough to get more minutes. Doku's obviously another competition for his place, but again is inconsistent. And
Yeah.
Doku has been rested a lot as well. I think Foden's going to start getting rested as well. You got to remember that Pep doesn't always have to play a left footer inverted. So yeah, Foden has that advantage, but nevertheless, I don't think it's always going to be that case. So Chucky, he's just a really good football player. Just looks really
Yeah.
good, does the right things. I can believe can play centrally as well. I think his X minutes are going to go up. Man City look very good going forward again. So yeah, because of his expected minutes, he can't be a banker, but he's my middling shout. And my rogue shout is somebody who's already been brought into my team who's played, I think, 1 minute so far, but I just needed somebody who was 4.1 million. And that is Patrick Dorgu at Manchester United. So,
Interesting.
yeah,
Manchester United, you're owning a Manchester United player. That's
yeah.
the more interesting
Again,
part
I
of that.
will concede I needed somebody who was 4.1 million. So it was very much a who's cheap and start from that position. Nevertheless, I talked myself into it. So also, Amarim said he can't handle being pressed. He said that one of the worst things ever about him. It was unbelievably shocking. So for a variety of reasons, this is a bad idea. However, with AFCON, I think he's going to get more minutes. Obviously, they lose Dallo and they use the Moroccan
That's
Mazraoui.
worry.
Sorry.
That's worry.
So I think he's gonna get more minutes. Their run is not ideal. They've got Bournemouth, Villa, Newcastle, but glass half full would be Defcons. He's going to get loads of Defcons in that game. You got to remember he was signed. I mean, I know lots of Man U players fall into this category. He was signed under a big fanfare of like high potential. When you watch him, he's not that bad. They then got
Yeah, he's
Wolves,
decent.
Leeds,
Yeah.
Burnley during AFCON. That's pretty tasty. So yeah, Man U's run of AFCON isn't bad. It starts off hard, but then gets quite easy. But yeah, if you need a 4.1 million defender, he's your man. Well, maybe. I'm not that good. Anyway,
Okay, maybe.
talk to my rogue shout.
You sound so unconfident. So
I'm
so
really backing him here. The confidence as you can hear is
nice.
oozing from me.
So the DEFCONs, just to highlight the level that you're expecting here, he's got
Yeah,
52 DEFCONs over the entire season.
yeah,
So that averages at 3 DEFCONs a game.
yeah. Perfect. Perfect. He gets
Um,
1.4 matches points per games that he plays. His form
yeah.
is one. But mate, this is the thing. He hasn't been playing. And he's gonna start. He's
True.
gonna be coming off the bench. When he played 79 minutes against Spurs, he got 5 points.
Oh, we'll help him out. We'll help him out. We'll
So
help him out. Don't worry about
when he played
that.
84 minutes against Brentford, he got 0. He gets a
-1
yellow
against
card.
Brighton at home.
How did he
Yeah.
get so many yellow cards? God, he's awful.
Yeah, that's
He's
the other
gonna
thing I was going to
start.
say. He's flagged by FPL as this player is currently on 4 yellow
Yeah,
cards
he
in the
has got
Premier
that as
League.
well. But that's fine. I'm not playing him for those games. God,
Fine. Okay.
what's he doing?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, he's 4.1 million.
Nice.
He's 4.1
Nice.
million.
Okay.
When he starts, he gets 5 points and 0 defcons. He gets a yellow card and no defcons, but he gets a clean sheet. So there we go. He's
Cool.
5 is higher than 4, and I'll take that.
Okay. Brilliant. That's just great justification there. So, okay, moving on to mine. My bankers. So I was in between 3 different bankers here that I was going to go for. So, firstly, I was thinking Thiago, Brentford.
Yeah,
Look, they have a good run. He's got Leeds at home
yeah.
next. He seems to be their talisman. He's got pens. I think it's just quite an easy choice. He's going into my team in that 5 transfers.
I've already done
Um,
Mateta to Thiago because I think there's going to be price swings already.
yeah,
So
makes
I've
sense.
already done it.
Makes sense. Um, but and then I was also thinking about Bruno Gomes for Newcastle as a banker. But again, I'm worried about that red card when he goes to Sunderland. So I've landed on my banker being Phil Foden. I just think,
Yeah, sure.
he's 8.6 million. He was 8.4 or 8.3 before this little
He
run
was
that's
8.
gone
He was
on.
8 million at
Uh,
one point, I think.
oh,
Yeah, it was
really?
8.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
he's had 6 price rises. He's 22% owned now. I think, or close to 30 now. I just think it's a no brainer.
Yeah.
Even if he gets benched one game week in the next Christmas period, again, having, as you wisely said, having a strong bench is key. Chalobah is my middling, Stephen.
Mm.
So he is currently second, I think, for defenders.
Is he?
And he's, or third, sorry, third for defenders.
Still, I didn't
Yeah.
think he was that. He is, yeah, he is.
Top is Gahey, then Munoz, and then Chalaba's there as well. So it's 5.3 million, 82 points. For context, if he was a midfielder, he'd be fourth for midfielders. So I think that at 5.3 million, there's so much value there. He's playing week in, week out. If you don't fancy Sanchez, I think if you weren't happy to own him, I think he's worth it. 11 points in the last game against Bournemouth. He obviously got 9 points against Arsenal when he scored, and he's got 6, 6, 7. So he's not doing crazy things, but he's a nice ticker along. And I think as someone that owns Reece James, who's a couple of hundred thousands more, I think he's definitely worth a shout. And then my rogue shout, and it's gonna be, I was in between really annoying you here, and not, but I obviously went for really annoying you, and that is Bruno Fernandes as
Yes,
my
of
rogue shout.
course. He's now the top scoring midfielder,
So
by the way, now.
he is top scoring midfielder, got 18 points. Now, the reason why he's rogue, everyone might think, what are you talking about? He's been one of the best Premier League players in the last couple of seasons. I know Stephen won't say that, but I wanted to say that just to annoy him. Um, is that when Embuemo goes to AFCON, we don't really know what the team's going to look like. If he goes up into the front three, as
Yeah,
it was
which is a
before,
concern.
he becomes a real interesting player. But if he starts playing Mason Mount, who is my other thought for the rogue pick, then it's an issue. So I think it's kind of in between those two players really. But he also, it's Man United. They got Bournemouth at home next. You can see them they got spanked 3-0 by Bournemouth last year at Old Trafford. So I think that it's a perfect game for Semenyo to come back into form and absolutely destroy them. So yeah, he's my rogue shout for a number of reasons, but he is top for midfielders, and you can't really ignore that.
Yeah.
So, but then at 9 million is a lot of money. Would I rather Phil Foden? Probably. So yeah, that's my reasoning.
Yeah, I wonder what he would, because Sesko's obviously injured as well. But Amarim, it just really screams Benitez, Gerard on the wing vibes, which is like, he got 18 goals. And there's so much criticism of him now. I think he's too entrenched with Bruno as a DM. And the fact that he's now
Mm.
doing, he's getting returns in that position, not just, not just from an FPL perspective, obviously goals and assists matter in football, real life as well. It just sounds to me like he's going to be very, very entrenched on this. But who does he play? Agate? Yeah, because his options in DM are Agate. I mean, the obvious. I mean,
Maino,
what?
Maino,
Well, that's what I was about to say. The
Maino.
obvious thing would be to play Kobe Mino as a DM and then move Bruno up
But he doesn't
top.
fancy
But
him.
he hates him, and I think Minu's off in January by the sounds of things. So, and I think Sesko's out for a bit longer. So, yeah, I don't actually know who they would play. Maybe they've got like a youngster, or has Martinez played in?
Yeah,
Basically, I can see where they have options in DM. I mean, Agate is awful, but at least
yeah,
he's an option. Because the other thing you would do is you'd
yeah,
put not Mbemba, sorry, Diallo as a cam, but he's off as well. So yeah, I guess it's inevitable that Fernandes goes further forward, which is worrying. It is very, very worrying as a
yeah,
non-owner.
yeah. I mean, outside of, and they got Casemiro. Obviously, he can play as DM, but he's going a bit further forward. I think, to be honest, what will probably happen is Cunha will play as the centre forward, and then you'll have Mount on one side and maybe Fernandez as the other side.
Yeah.
But
I
like you
just don't
said,
see any other alternative, unless he's got
neither
like a
do I.
youngster.
Neither
I
do I.
don't I don't see anyone else who can play up there with Sesko being out.
Yeah, exactly right. Which makes him quite interesting. And but mind you, Xerxes scored a beautiful goal against Palace. It was a really really nice goal. We have to give him that, and
What about
he's getting a lot of
Xerxes?
praise from the manager.
So
But
that's
he
so
did
that's what he
start
could do
against
then. He
Wolves.
could do Xerxes,
Yeah,
Kuna, and Mount, couldn't he? Yeah, he could
yeah,
do
he
that.
could. So there's lots of options there, and again, that's why I put him in the road category, because we just don't really know what an Afcon during Afcon what Man United teams look like. Obviously, Buemo's got. I think he'll probably will play against Bournemouth at the weekend, but we'll see as that develops. So yeah, I think look, we've said a lot of things there. It's been a busy couple of weeks for sure. We've got the Champions League tonight, so we're recording on Tuesday, and then obviously on Wednesday as well, and then you got Europa League. So what do we always say, Stephen? Do not make early transfers. Wait, but I know some of you will break with the fire transfers. So Stephen, you've mentioned a few transfers you've already made. Are there any others that you want to
Yeah,
reveal to
Voltemar and
us?
Mateta have gone, and I've brought in Thiago at Brentford, and I've gone for Gokeres as a bit of a punt. Um, He'll probably start tonight, which doesn't help. Marino has done a good job, but I think he's going to have to come back into the team basically. While Marino has done a job, Gokres is the starting striker. Arteta seems to like him. I think fairly as well. I think he's done a good job. So yeah, it's a bit of a pun because he's obviously quite expensive, but
Mm.
we're playing Wolves next, so I think Arteta he's got a bit of sense to say like, oh, that's actually the game you do play Gokres because let him get his hat trick, get the confidence
Yeah.
flowing. Yeah, a bit of a risk, but that's why I've done that.
Cool. Cool. Well, I think I'm in between making one transfer or doing all five. I even had a draft where I did a -4 because I've still
Okay.
got Casado. I've still got Casado. I haven't had a chance to get rid of him. And I really want to make a switch of Reece James to someone like a Matty Cash, and then change my goalkeeper to Sanchez. So that's kind of in my thoughts. And Bemo, he will have that one more game against Bournemouth before he goes off for international duty. But again, Bournemouth isn't the greatest fixture to have. They're a good team, but then again, they have been leaky. So maybe I'll err on the side of caution and go for Watermaid to Thiago, and then maybe I could take Mateta out for another forward, and then just and then maybe go double Chelsea defense at the back and just hope that Everton are shit, which is a hope that's reasonable. And then of course, Casado's back for the Newcastle game, so then I could actually just roll him through, to be honest, and focus my intentions on Mbemo and others. So yeah, lots of thoughts there in the kind of process, but as you always say, because it's the Christmas break, having those transfers is going to be a real weapon. So don't burn them if you don't have to. Um, I think we'll wrap it up for this week. As always, play it your way. It's a game. Have fun. Make sure you do the transfers at your Christmas parties whilst exceptionally drunk, because that's when the most fun and fruitful ideas, I feel, come to the floor. So, Stephen, anything else before we wrap up for this game?
No, no, no. Just yeah, play your way. Have fun with the five transfers.
Yeah.
If you remember, very useful for a particular bench boost as well. But yeah, no, that's it for me.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, Rita's still got a bench boost to
I do
use,
as
so that'll
well.
be quite fun. Game week 18, I think, is what we're thinking about for that one, but it does mean getting Fulham players in, which is concerning. But anyway, thank you very much for listening, watching. Thank you to Rita for all the help with the producing and editing. We'll be back next week with another pod, and in the meantime, I hope you have a good week.
Thank you.